Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Casey. Today, we're continuing Brand Spotlight, my mini-series where we feature different fashion brands and talk about their origin story, their mission, what they became known for, and the real reasons they either stayed successful, changed direction, or slowly disappeared from the market. In the last video, we explored fast fashion as an idea. Today, we're zooming into a brand that helped make that idea mainstream and shaped how millions of people shop. Not just because it's affordable, but because it helped turn newness into a habit. H&M's story starts in Sweden in 1947, when Erling Persson opened a women's clothing store in Västerås called Hennes, which translates to hers. At the time, the concept was straightforward but powerful. Make fashion more accessible to everyday customers, not only to people who could afford higher-end shopping. Then came the move that turned it into the brand we recognize today. In 1968, Persson acquired Moritz Vidfors, and the business expanded into menswear and more categories. That's also when the name changed into Hennes and Maurits, which is where H&M comes from. So even in the naming, you can see the strategy. It wasn't meant to be a boutique idea, it was meant to scale. From there, H&M became a retail expansion story. It grew through the Nordics first, then into wider Europe, and eventually into major global markets. The point is not just that it opened stores, the point is that it became a brand people could reliably find in different countries. And that's how it started embedding itself into daily shopping behavior. Now, if you ask what H&M's mission is, the brand itself has a very clear line. It aims for no compromise between design, affordable prices, and sustainable solutions. That statement is doing a lot of work because it tries to hold three goals that are often in tension. It's not easy to be trend-aware, affordable, and sustainable all at the same time. But it tells you exactly what H&M wants to be in the market. A place where people can shop fashion regularly without feeling like fashion is only for a certain income level, while still responding to modern expectations. So what did H&M become known for? First, it became known as one of the most visible names in fast fashion. Frequent drops, wide assortment, and that feeling that there is always something new to browse. Second, H&M became known for something that changed the way people saw mass market fashion, designer collaborations. H&M launched its first designer collection with Karl Lagerfeld in 2004. And it proved that a high street retailer could create real hype using designer energy, limited releases, and a drop-style shopping moment. After that, collaborations became part of the brand identity. Not just an occasional stunt, but a recognizable strategy. Third, H&M became known as a kind of gap filler store in people's wardrobes. Last-minute outfits, vacation pieces, work basics, trend experiments, items you want now, without the commitment of a high price tag. That isn't glamorous, but it's extremely powerful in retail because it turns a store into a default. Now, the more interesting question is, why did H&M succeed so widely? A big part of the answer is positioning. H&M found the middle lane between aspiration and access. It made participation in trends feel possible. You did not need to save up for months. You did not need to be an expert. You could walk in, find something current, and leave with a full outfit. Another part is scale. H&M expanded its footprint and built a global presence that created familiarity. When a brand becomes familiar enough, it stops being something you discover. It becomes something you remember is always there. But H&M's real advantage, the thing that made it feel bigger than just basics, was how it learned to create fashion moments without being a luxury house. The 2004 Karl Lagerfeld collaboration is a great example. It didn't just sell clothes, it created cues, sellouts, and the feeling of an event. It showed that mass retail could borrow the excitement of limited releases and designer storytelling. And once customers experience that kind of scarcity and excitement, it changes expectations. People start shopping not only for need, but for the possibility of getting something before it's gone. So, when we talk about H&M's success, it's not only speed, it's also the emotional rhythm of shopping. The idea that you might find something good today that won't be there next week. Now, Brand Spotlight is also about what changed, because the fashion industry did not stay the same. Fast fashion became one of the most debated topics in modern retail. Customers started asking harder questions about quality, about waste, about overconsumption, about labor, and about what responsibility looks like when a brand is this large. That's why H&M's messaging now includes sustainability directly in its core business idea and public identity. It's also why H&M has increased the visibility of sustainability goals and reporting over the years as part of how it communicates progress and direction. At the same time, there's a tension that doesn't go away. Because if your business model is built on frequent newness and global scale, people will naturally question whether improvements are enough and whether better can keep up with more. That's part of why H&M, like other major brands, stays under scrutiny and debate. So why is H&M still around? Because it has stayed flexible enough to keep moving with consumer behavior. When shopping shifted online, H&M expanded digital channels and kept investing in the idea that customers should be able to access the brand anywhere. When shopping patterns changed in different markets, the brand adjusted store strategy. The core model is still accessibility, but the structure evolves. And H&M continues to benefit from something simple but powerful. It is a known name that sits at an approachable price point. In many countries, H&M is the place people think of when they want something current quickly without going all the way into luxury pricing. But the key is that still around does not mean unchanged. H&M today exists in a market where customers are more aware, more selective, and sometimes more skeptical. People compare quality more, they compare pricing more, they also compare values more. In the past, fast fashion could win mainly on speed and affordability. Today, it also has to compete on trust. So the takeaway is this: H&M became a global name by making fashion feel accessible, repeatable, and constantly refreshed. It helped define the fast fashion era as a mainstream habit, and it amplified its cultural relevance through designer collaborations that made mass retail feel exciting. And now, the brand's modern challenge is not just staying popular, it's proving that a global giant can keep evolving under rising expectations. Before you go, what brand should we feature next on Brand Spotlight? Comment your pick and tell me if you want luxury, mid-tier, or mass market. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.